You may know that there are 7 of us that live now in the house next to the church, the rectory. I grew up in a family of 6. My brother and I shared a room for most of our life growing up. And my dad's one of 12s, and I have 60 first cousins just on my dad's side. So I'm used to a full house. But living with 6 20-year-olds, like the trash is never not full. I'll take the trash out, you come back, and you open it up, and it's full again. The washing machine is never not running, it seems. In the last, 5 months, 6 months, it's been a great reminder for me just how much family life sanctifies you, makes us holy, because it ain't easy. Getting baptized provides our initial justification when we're restored in the state of grace. And then, but that's like the beginning. It's the first step, our baptism. It's then the rest of our life is this process of being made holy, dying to the ego, dying to the pride, living more and more outwardly. And God gives us what we call sanctifying grace for that to happen, making us more and more into a saint. It's like the artist Michelangelo. You recall that it's been said that he stared at a large block of marble. And as he stared at the large block of marble, he said, the sculpture's already inside there. I just need to chisel away to uncover and get to the sculpture. You could say God is like the divine sculptor. And it's through our vocation that he's given us is the primary means for us to be sanctified, of the Lord chiseling us away. And so on this first Sunday within the octave of Christmas, as we still celebrate Christmas Day, these 8 days of Christmas, the first Sunday is the Feast of the Holy Family. And with that, 2 things here: allowing family life to sculpt us or chisel us. And then secondly, a problem or a challenge that we have to overcome today. So first, a lot of times I think parents can have the thought, and I know this because I hear you say this, and it's oftentimes it goes something like this: if only I didn't have these kids around, I'd be a much better Christian. I wouldn't lose my patience as much. I wouldn't yell. I'd be able to pray more. I would just be freed up to be holier. That is simply not true. God has given you your vocation. Your spouse, your kids, your siblings, if this state in your life, a season in your life, as just right now with your siblings, he puts that before you as the primary means to make you holy. That's the way he's going to do it. And so then it's even the little annoyances in the day of seeing that the trash is full. There was somebody at the earlier mass, a dad, and mentioned that him and his wife with their 6 kids, they just watch to see how many times the kids are going to just push down the trash and squeeze it down. Like, who's going to be the last one to just push it down before taking it out? But it's those little things. Parents disciplining children, potty training, maybe caring for elderly parents in their old age, and the different things that go on inside with the difficulties of that. All of these things is the Lord chiseling away at us, sanctifying us. And we know sometimes it's not the small chiseling, it can be like the big blows too, where it's as if like chunks of marble are falling off through tragedy that hits, a very difficult season within the marriage or within the house with the kids. And then it's going through that with kindness and grace and forgiveness can be like chunks of marble that are falling off of us. We know what those seasons are like. That's the Lord making us into a masterpiece. But there's a particular problem in our day that I think is a challenge for us to overcome. So secondly here, and this is from John Paul II, when he was speaking on this topic of family life, he said this: the great danger for family life in the midst of any society whose idols are comfort, pleasure, and independence lies in the fact that people close their hearts and become selfish. So John Paul's putting his thumb here on the reality in which we all know, and that's our lure that we all have towards comfort and pleasure and independence. And that's always the case due to sin within us, like that pull there towards that. But it's increasingly the case, John Paul II says, rightly so, in an age in which we idolize comfort, pleasure, and independence. And that's especially the case with regards to the virtual world, because one can so, and we know this, one can so easily escape into the land of comfort, can so easily escape into the land of pleasure, or the land of independence and individualism. And John Paul stresses the fact like that's a danger to the family life, because you have here, right, my family, kids, or people, siblings right here before me that do what? They demand things out of me. They demand renunciation from me, sacrifice from me. And that there is juxtaposed with this ease escape to the land of comfort, to the land of pleasure, and the land of individualism or independence. And that what it does is it can turn us then selfish, close our hearts off, make our hearts colder. We turn and replace the virtual encounter, or we turn and place the actual encounter with the virtual encounter. You know, even myself, I noticed there was of this going on in my own heart. A few weeks ago, I was in the basement with Luke, who's 4 years old, and we're downstairs giving my twin sister a break from the three little ones, and I'm down there and I'm playing on the floor. They're playing trucks with Luke, and after 5 minutes, I am bored out of my mind. Okay, I'm there like he wants to go another 30, 40 minutes. I am bored out of my mind. I have the thought of like putting in an AirPod like on the other side where he's not, to listen to, so I can be productive, listen to a podcast, and not be bored out of my mind. But over the last number of months, I've been catching myself and training myself to think about Luke as a 4-year-old, thinking him there as a 15-year-old, a 20-year-old, and how this is a benefit for him. And it's good for him, but it's good for me too. That it's even a means like that the Lord wants to sanctify me, chisel me away, turning to a comfort or pleasure or independence. No. Dying to the ego here. Dying to a move to comfort and pleasure. Little things. So maybe heading into the new year is just to ask ourselves in prayer, is my heart, or where is my heart, in danger at all with the potential idols of comfort, pleasure, and independence? Where might my family be in danger? My marriage, my children be in danger with this escape to the land of pleasure and comfort and independence. And then as we head into the new year, it's just like rededicate ourselves to staying engaged with the nitty and grittiness of it. the nitty and grittiness of family life, the nitty and grittiness of everything that entails. Because it is hard. And as John Paul talks about, increasingly in an age of which we're in, we idolize these things, we just so easily go to this spot, as Pope Francis has said other words, like it's the tyranny of technology that can dehumanize us as we trade these things. Because that's the spot, as we rededicate ourselves, staying engaged, that's the spot the Lord's at work chiseling away and making us holy into saints. So that's the end of the homily. But I got two end points, end notes to the homily. And the first is, it's not uncommon for me to get asked the question by parents or grandparents, and what is it, what can we do to maybe the best ensure that our children, thrive in their faith as they become adults? And I oftentimes point to the Christian Smith study out of Notre Dame that mentions that the top thing, even above going to Mass, and we know how important going to Mass is every Sunday, but even more than that, it's normalizing the faith at home. Sarah Clarkson, she actually grew up Anglican, but when she was a student at Oxford, someone asked her, how do you manage to keep your faith while you're away at the university? And she said, I think it would have to be the French toast. And he said, the French toast? What are you talking about? She said, on the weekends, on Saturday mornings growing up, we would all gather together in the kitchen. My mom would make French toast, and we would all talk there at the kitchen dining room table in the kitchen. We would talk about ways in which God has blessed us throughout the week. We prayed, we laughed. It was just a good time. And it just always felt that God was always there. He was always part of it. And why would I want to leave that, she said. I know it's real. Those are the type of moments that we have to learn to create in the home if we want our kids to have their faith as adults. And the beauty of this is the simplicity of it. It's not complicated. Car rides home after Mass. What did you think of the homily? This struck me. This is what made me think of. This is what was moving in me. It might even be, I didn't know what Father Mark was talking about this week. That's okay too. The alternative is kids come to RE, or they go to the school here, or come to Mass, and the moment you cross the threshold of that piazza in the car, then that's a different world than this. Study after study shows the importance of normalizing the faith within the home. Even if it's simple as making French toast and speaking of the Lord's blessing of the week. The second end note here, I just want to close with those, maybe specifically speaking to the heart of those who might be here that's struggling with loneliness. That might especially be the case, we know, this time of year in the holidays. Statistics increasingly show the reality. It was the U.S. Census Bureau last year came out and revealed that now up to 30% of households in America are solo. That compared to in 1940, it was 8%. And some of us fall into that spot, and it's not even being our choice. It might be more of just like a byproduct of the time and the day in which we live. Never getting married, or maybe divorce, spouse has died. It's just maybe because of old age. A number of reasons we might be alone. And it can be extremely painful even coming to Mass in general, but can be even more painful on a weekend in which we celebrate the Feast of the Holy Family and hearing a homily like this. And to you, what I want to say is, remember that the Holy Family, Mary, Jesus, and Joseph, is an icon of the Trinity. The Father gazing at the Son, and the Son receiving that love, and then the Son gazing at the Father. So much, and the love being so intense that it spirates and creates a third person. It's generative. Family life is generative. We all desire to be generative, but the Trinity is generative. And the wild reality is for us Christians is we can tap into that flow of love of the Trinity. That's not high pie in the sky thing. That is a real thing that we can tap into, and then therefore the loneliness that we experience can be an opportunity to receive love at a really deep level. And so maybe in this season, the pain of loneliness that we're in, that we have, is also the Lord chiseling away at us. The loneliness and the pain there is the Lord chiseling away at us, making us into a saint, making us holy.